Hola estudiantes, hoy vamos a hablar sobre los sustantivos y los artículos, nouns and articles. And if you have your libro, you can turn to las páginas 30 a 32. Okay, in Spanish, all nouns belong to two gender categories, which we kind of already talked about previously, but today we're going to get into more detail. Okay, so either a noun is going to be masculine or masculino, or it's going to be feminine, femenina. Okay, so no matter what, all nouns are going to belong to either the masculine category or the feminine category. Okay, masculine nouns usually end in an O. Now, I say usually because there are some exceptions. However, usually you will see masculine nouns ending in an O. Feminine nouns usually end in an A. Okay? And we have already discussed this previously, but we're going into more detail like I said. And our example for our masculine noun is el helado, and you can guess what that is by looking at this picture. Ice cream, muy bien. And then our example for our feminine noun is la fruta. And you can get that by looking at this picture with lots of fruta. Okay. So the next thing that I want to discuss is singular and plural nouns. So not only are we having to look at the gender of a noun, we also have to look at its number. So therefore, singular and plural. So our first is singular nouns name one of something. So it's only going to have one entity or one item. So the girl, the student, or the apple. It's all one thing. Plural nouns name more than one of something. So if you're talking about the girls, the students, or the apples. Okay? So the difference is singular names one of something and plural names more than one of something. So if a noun ends in a vowel, all you're going to have to do to make it plural is you add an S. So here we have an example, chico, which means boy. To make it plural, all you have to do is add an S if it ends in a vowel. Very simple. It's kind of simple, similar to what we do in English. Now, moving on to the second part. If a singular noun ends in a consonant, so an R, an L, an N, etc., you are going to add ES to make it plural. Okay? So if it ends in a vowel, all you're going to do is add an S. And if it ends in a consonant, you're going to add ES to make those plural. Okay, so here we have some práctica. So our first word is chico, which means boy. So to make it plural, what are we going to do? Well, first we have to look at what it ends in. It ends in a vowel, and we just discussed it. So if we have a word that ends in a vowel, all we have to do to make it plural is add an S, making it chicos. Okay, our next one is chica, the feminine version of the word, little girl. And of course, like we said again, it ends in a vowel, which means all we have to do to make it plural is add an S, therefore making it chicas. Okay, I'll give you a minute to go through the rest of them if you want to pause the video, and then I'm going to go ahead and go through the answers. Fruta es frutas. Helado es helados. Persona es personas. Mujer es mujeres, and hombre es hombres. Okay? All right, the next thing that we're going to talk about is definite articles. When we want to say the, or the, however you say that, in Spanish, we use what we call definite articles. Definite articles change according to the gender of the noun and according to whether the noun is singular or plural. Okay? So definite articles change according to the gender of the noun and according to the number, which is either singular or plural. Remember, this is how we say the. This is very important. So here are the definite articles. First, we have our singular masculine article, which means that if we have a singular masculine word, this is the article that we're going to put in front of it to make it the, and then whatever noun we're using. The feminine singular article is la. The masculine plural article is los. And the feminine plural article is las. Okay, so depending on the number and the gender of the noun that you are trying to use, that is how you will determine which article you're going to use. So let's have some practice. Okay. If we have la galleta, which means the cookie, we would make it plural by saying las galletas. Okay. Next we have el refresco, which means the soft drink or the soda. Okay. What would we do to make it plural? We're going to have to make our noun plural, which means we're also going to have to make our definite article plural, therefore making it los refrescos. Okay. Next we have el estudiante, which means the boy student, because it is a masculine article. Therefore, that indicates that this is a male student. So how would we make that plural? Well, first we're going to have to make the noun plural to estudiantes. Then we're going to have to see, oh, this is a masculine plural noun now. So what article am I going to need to use to make it masculine plural, which is los estudiantes. Okay? If you want to pause the video and do the rest, and that's great. I'm going to go through the answers. La estudiante becomes las estudiantes, and la pizza becomes las pizzas. All right, now that we talked about definite articles, now we're going to go into indefinite articles. So we already talked about how to say the, which is a definite article. Now, what is an indefinite article? Well, when we want to say a, or whatever, an, or some in Spanish, we use what we call indefinite articles. Indefinite articles also change according to the gender of the noun and according to whether the noun is singular or plural. Okay? So a definite article is when we want to say the, an indefinite article is when we want to say an, or some. So how do we do this? It's the same exact thing, just a little bit different. We still have to use masculine and feminine, and we still have to figure out if it's going to be singular or plural. So, our masculine singular indefinite article is un. Our feminine singular is una. Our masculine plural indefinite article is unos. And our feminine plural indefinite article is unas. Okay, get a good look at those for a second. All right, now we're going to look at some more práctica. Here on the left side, you'll see my mouse moving, and it says un amigo. Okay, well, we know what amigo means. Amigo significa friend. Okay. Now, we use indefinite articles when we are trying to say an, or some. So if this is singular, it is saying a friend. Okay. Now, if we want to make it plural, saying some friends, first we have to make our noun plural. So how do we make this plural? Good job. We just add an S to the end because it ends in a vowel. Then we're going to have to change our indefinite article to match our plural masculine noun. So our plural masculine indefinite article is unos, making it unos amigos, some friends. Okay? I'm going to skip down to another one that's a little different. Okay, here we have un sombrero. Sombrero significa hat, which we already know. So to make sombrero plural, all we have to do, remember, is add an S because this word ends in a vowel. Okay? And the same exact thing, we're just going to have to make this plural and masculine to agree with sombreros, making it unos sombreros. Then if you want to do the rest, go for it. Just pause the video and I'll give you the answers. Una pizza becomes unas pizzas. Y una fiesta se convierte a unas fiestas. All right, and the last thing that I want to talk about are adjetivos. And we already talked about adjetivos personales that describe personal traits or physical descriptions. Okay? But we're going to go a little more in depth. So in Spanish, unlike English, the adjective that we are using must agree with the noun in gender and in number, exactly how the definite and indefinite articles do. And don't forget that an adjective is a word that describes or modifies a noun. Okay, so if we have an adjective ending in O, which we had a lot of these when we did our adjetivos personales, remember, all we have to do, if it's masculine noun that we're describing, is keep it with an O. Now, if we are describing a noun that is feminine, we are going to change it to A, which we have already learned. Now, to add something new, we are also basing this upon the number of the noun that we are describing. So, if we are describing boys instead of boy, our adjective has to be plural because our noun is plural. So it has to agree in gender and in number. Okay, and we're going to go through some practice in just a minute. If we have adjectives ending in E, it only has to agree in number. Okay, we don't have anything to change. Remember we talked about an example, inteligente, intelligent. Because it ends in an E, there is no O or A to change, so it stays as an E. However, if we're talking about multiple people that are intelligent or multiple things that are intelligent, we're going to have to change it from singular to plural. So it's just going to change from E to ES, and that makes it plural. And then lastly, adjectives that end in a consonant only have to agree in number. Okay? So if something ends in a consonant, all you have to do is add ES to the end of that adjective to make it plural, to agree with the plural noun. Okay, so here's just some examples to show. Let's just say we want to say pretty teacher. Okay, teacher means teacher in Spanish is maestra. If we want to say pretty teacher, we are going to say maestra bonita. Remember, we already learned how to say pretty. Okay. Now keep in mind, my noun, teacher, has to agree with my adjective in both gender and number. Well, it agrees in gender because both of them are ending in an A, and it also agrees in number because we are just talking about one teacher. Okay, so I have it singular here, and I have it singular here. Moving on to bald boy. Like, again, we have to agree the noun and the adjective in gender and number. They are agreeing in gender because they both end in an O, and they are also agreeing in number because they are both singular. Now, moving on to plural forms. Pretty teachers. Now, because we have more than one teacher, we have to make our noun plural. So remember, to make a noun plural, if you have a noun ending in a vowel, all you have to do is add an S. Now that we have our plural noun, we have to make our adjective plural as well. So here we have AS agreeing in gender with the A, and it is agreeing in number because it is ending in AS and AS, making them both plural. And the same thing with bald boys, niños calvos. Okay. Also, just a quick note, adjectives in Spanish are always going to be put after the noun in Spanish. So if we say pretty teachers, it's not going to be bonitas maestras, it's going to be maestras bonitas. Okay, so instead of saying blue sky, in Spanish, we're literally saying sky blue. Okay, that's just a little example for you. Okay, that is all that I have for you today. I know that was kind of long, lo siento, but all of that information is muy importante to learning foundational things in Español. So thank you for listening. Have an awesome evening. Adios.